Hello and welcome to the training series on authentic client enrollment. I'm excited to be presenting my best ideas to you. And what I'm going to ask you to do is to look for one idea in this session that you will be excited to implement in your business going forward, or at least for the next couple of weeks or couple of months, and to really give it an honest try. I'm going to be sharing with you a lot of ideas in this session alone, but also we have 2 more sessions after this to kind of round out the entire system. But one person may really run with one idea and find it helpful. Another person may run another idea. So I want you to just notice what resonates with you, and I welcome you to comment below this the video here, or those of you who are live here can comment in the chat area, and let me know what's one idea that you're going to be hearing that you do hear that is most exciting for you to try out. I'd love to know. So first of all, what I want to start with actually is your own experience. The fact that you're here means that you have probably tried to get new clients in your business. Some of you have already, been working with clients for a long time. Some of you are just getting started, but you've thought about, you've tried or thought about trying certain things. And I'd love for you to comment below. And those of you live here, thank you for joining live, and please go ahead and chat. What is one thing you have tried in terms of getting clients that has worked for you? And go ahead and just chat that in, and I'm going to give you a moment to go ahead and do that. And those watching the video, go ahead and comment below. And I'm just going to pause for half a minute to allow you to do this. Okay. All right. So based on the replies I see from those who are live here, one of the common themes is referrals. And referrals essentially comes from you having a personal contact with somebody else. Usually that's how it works. Whether it's an existing client, a previous client, a friend of yours, a colleague, somebody you met at an event that you made a good impression on, but that person knows you as a real person rather than just somebody they might have seen somewhere online once in a while. Okay. And that's going to be part of the system that I'm going to be talking to you about. I've noticed the same thing. Referrals are usually one of the strongest ways to get business. Now, the problem, of course, you might be saying was, George, problem is I don't get enough referrals. Yes, referrals work, but I get them once in a blue moon or just not often enough. And so we'll talk about how we can get more referrals and make more of that one-to-one personal contact that is authentic, of service, and therefore allows people to feel our care and much more likely to refer us going forward, right? Go ahead and keep chatting if you have other thoughts that come to you like, oh, that's right, this really did work at some point. Okay. And the other thing that I'd love for you to chat in or right below the video is, as you think about what has worked to get you to sign up to work with somebody, a coach, a consultant, mentor, somebody join somebody's program, etc. What worked to get you to sign up? What was the enrollment method that you felt was effective and was authentic, that you actually enjoyed that experience? And I also want you to think about enrollment methods that you have been turned off by, because that's going to be the next question. But let's go ahead and chat in what has worked to get you to sign up to somebody else's thing. And I'm going to pause for half a minute for everybody, including those watching the recording, to comment below. Go ahead and do that now. All right. So there are two themes that are coming out to me here in the chats. And by the way, those who are watching the recording, I will make a document available. If you bought the course, obviously you're watching this because you bought the course. In the email where you were sent the course, there will be a link to go to the chat log so that you can actually see what some of the comments are that are coming through as I'm delivering this live here. And of course, as you watch the video, you can see the video commenters below as well. So two things are coming up in terms of how you are signing up to other people's things. One is trust, that which come from testimonials or a relationship or content. So trust is scarce in the world of business today, especially when it comes to online. I was just speaking with a client of mine who has a friend that is a nationally recognized expert on consumer psychology. And this expert is saying that we're at the lowest levels of trust in history in terms of how consumers feel about business and about marketing. Lowest levels of trust. And you are probably at the lowest levels of trust you've been in terms of online marketing as well, right? What you've seen other people do. And so at this point, I would love for you to chat below, those watching the recording can comment below the video, what hasn't worked for you as a consumer, what hasn't been authentic in terms of enrollment methods. And I'd love for you to chat below. So as you go ahead and chat, I'm just going to keep talking through what came through earlier. Trust in terms of one-to-one, personal contact is actually kind of scarce these days. I'll talk about that as well later. But that does build trust. Testimonials can build trust, but a lot of people also are trusting testimonials less. And a sample, can start to build trust. Content. So content, videos or written blog posts over time tends to build trust. And the one of the other themes that kind of came up was doing a free webinar. Now, I have mixed feelings about doing free webinars, and I'll talk about that later. But it can be done in a way that is authentic. But let me just first give you a pause to let me know below the video what methods have you experienced as a consumer or a potential client of somebody else when they try to enroll you into a program or into a service that hasn't felt authentic to you. Or maybe you did something based on someone's teaching that you later maybe regretted or realized it wasn't really authentic to you. Go ahead, and I'm going to give you half a minute now to start writing that comment. All right. So thank you everyone for your comment here. Couple of comments coming through. Sandy wrote, the hard sell that has turned her off. Esther says, when people are pushy, similar idea, or only get in touch when they have something to sell. Ooh, that is a big one. And as I'm talking through some of these things, ask yourself, am I doing that? Or might I change how I'm doing things so it doesn't come across that way? Okay. So yes, if you have noticed any marketing experts that you suddenly see a lot of them when they are trying to launch their program, have any of you noticed that? Oh, like twice a year or something, suddenly you see a lot of content. They seem so generous twice a year. Only when they're trying to sell you something immediately afterwards. And then the rest of the year, you don't hear from them at all, right? It's like, yeah, something there. There's something there about that. And I used to do the same thing. Trust me, I used to do the same thing. And now, hopefully, you see me throughout the year with what I really believe is helpful, regardless of whether you ever buy anything, because I actually want to help. And then some people who decide to buy something, great and wonderful. But it is something I had to transform within myself. Kim Marie, thank you. Say, like certain things, like trying to convince the buyer, it's like, oh, money loves speed, or the universe likes fast action, like things that are trying to manipulate the buyer into thinking, oh, I'm not somehow in touch with the flow if I don't buy this thing now. Ding, ding, ding. If somebody is trying to get you to buy something as soon as possible, okay, you need to take a pause and say, why are they in a rush? Especially if it's expensive. Now, maybe you saw a message from me saying, last chance to sign up for this workshop, but it's $60, okay? And last chance literally to sign up for the live workshop, because otherwise you can buy the recordings later at the same price, no big deal. You can buy it later. But if somebody's saying, you're at an event and somebody says, all right, folks, we're going to fill our mastermind quick. It's $10,000, 6 months, 12 months, whatever. And you got to sign up tonight, because otherwise you're not going to get these amazing fast action bonuses. The higher the price point, the more you need to sleep on it, right? The more, and same thing, the higher the price point that you're giving to a potential client, the more pushiness they will feel if you're trying to get them to take action in a way that's not based on their own rhythm. And whether they feel the pushiness now or whether later after they've bought, they will feel the pushiness at some point. So again, the higher your price point, whatever you're offering, I mean, sometimes you may be offering a single session, sometimes you're offering a 6-month package. Do your best not to make the client decide right on the call. Now, what you're hearing from me is exact opposite of what I would have taught, 8 years ago, and which is what most experts are teaching you. Get them to make the decision right on the call, because, well, they're not saying in this many words, but if you push them into making a decision, you're doing good for them. You're helping them transform past their fears so they can finally change their life. BS. I call BS on that, right? Everybody has a rhythm for their own transformation. And we as service providers need to trust in the rhythm of the potential client. Now, you might say back to me, but George, so many people have good intentions, say, I'm going to buy from you, I'm going to hire you, I'm going to blah, 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 and they don't. So George, I think I do need to use some of these persuasion tactics and scarcity. No, you don't. What's the problem? The problem is in other areas, not the fact that you're not using persuasion and sales tactics. The problem is in two things. One is visibility. You're not visible to enough people. You're not having enough of these conversations, maybe. Secondly, you might be too pushy in those conversations, which is why the person is saying, oh, yes, maybe, I'll get back to you. Third is that your offer is not aligned for them. And when you're in conversations with somebody live, human nature is not to offend. So they will tell you, oh, that sounds really interesting. Oh, that sounds pretty good. But I have to get back. I have to talk to my spouse. I have to, look at my bank account. They are just trying to be polite. That's just because they say they're interested doesn't mean they're interested. You only can tell by their actual behavior. If they didn't buy, they weren't interested. Period. Okay? No, seriously. Let's stop the fantasy of, but 50 people told me they're interested. No, they told you because they're polite. Everybody's polite. Out of the 50, how many bought? Those who bought were actually interested. Okay? Those who didn't buy are not interested. But they told you they were because they don't want to offend you. And maybe they were a little bit interested, but the offering wasn't quite aligned for them, wasn't quite right. So we'll talk more about that as well. Karen says, when the personal selling focuses on what's in it for them rather than what's in it for me as a consumer. Yeah, so Diane says, when they're speaking past when I have a question or a comment, they're not really answering it directly. And Diana says, getting marketing emails every day. So that's another way to be pushy, is when your frequency of communication, of promoting your offering is too high. So I'm starting off here with the things that you have noticed doesn't work for you, because the things that don't work for you, you need to pay attention and not do that to your potential customers or clients. I believe that authentic marketing is essentially about the golden rule, right? We don't do unto others that which is we don't like, and we do to others that which we do like, that we do enjoy. So thus far, we've kind of touched on a bunch of these different things already. Let's see here. Kathy says, a smiley face with excitement and lots of promises, as well as the millions that people have made and can make through them, and whatever promise. So yes, hyped up promises are what copywriters and marketing experts tell us to do. Because, oh my God, it sounds so good. Oh, it must be, right? And yes, you know what? A sucker is born every minute. And I've been a sucker many times in my life, and probably so have you, right? A sucker is born every minute, not a particular person, because all of us are suckers at some point, right? It's just human nature. And so it's easy to, what did George Bush say? Fool me once, fool me twice, you can't get me fooled again, whatever. But we can get fooled again and again and again because we are consumers, and marketing experts know the psychology. But that's why consumer trust is at the lowest level in history, because we've got fooled 37 times now, and we're sick of it, right? We're sick of it. So if you'll notice from my offerings, especially my higher price offerings like my coaching, etc., I no longer make promises about what you're going to achieve. I no longer say, by working with me, you too can earn six figures, just like so-and-so and so-and-so, because I know that any person I bring forward as a testimony of how much they made, etc., is because of they are unique. I mean, they were doing certain things that maybe you aren't doing, or you're doing certain things that other clients aren't doing. And so I'm going to encourage us to stop making results promises, but instead make experience promises. I promise you that you will learn a way to enroll clients that you can enjoy. If not, please ask for your money back, right? I can promise you the experience, but it's up to you, obviously, to implement and get results. Doesn't matter what you sell. That's the same thing. What you and your client are separate people. You are not doing the work for them. Now, some of you actually literally are doing the work for them, and you need to make different kinds of promises. But you can only promise what you deliver rather than what they must do to experience certain results. Does that make sense? Let me know if that makes sense. So promise the experience of what you deliver rather than what the client is going to achieve if they're in the 5 to 10% who have certain things, certain extraordinary reasons why they would get extraordinary results. Okay. All right. So let me now go to a couple other things that are not part of the authentic client enrollment system that I'm going to teach you. I'm going to talk about a couple things. One is cold calling and thoughtless emailing. Hopefully people aren't really teaching this stuff anymore, but there's a lot of sales conversations. Oh, it's all about the numbers, right? You just got to churn through enough people. You've got to get 1,000 no's before you get the one yes, right? How painful is that? How painful is that to play the numbers game of getting enough no's to get a yes? It's very painful. That's why people don't like sales. That's why people hate sales. But if I tell you instead, reframe the principle, instead of selling as the conversation, reframe it as connecting and helping and filtering and inviting if it's the right person. Now, let me explain. If I'm in a conversation with you as a potential client, I'm not trying to say, geez, Alyssa, so when was the last time you felt this problem and this pain? You see, isn't that terrible? You don't want to feel that again, right? And also, if you don't do this, isn't that what's going to happen to your life if you don't make that change that I'm going to help you change? Oh, isn't that terrible? Yeah, great. I'm not trying to sell you on anything. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to connect with you to say, let me figure out if your issues are really something that I can understand and I can help you with. I want to confirm. So I'm going to ask you certain questions. And yes, you may end up describing some of the issues, but you can tell that I'm not trying to make you feel the pain and get you into that pain spot so that I can be the hero that comes in, my solution, my offering. Ask questions to understand. Understand, can you really help them? Okay. I'm interviewing you as a potential client to see if you're really the right client for me. I want you to do that going forward when you talk to a potential client, okay? So connect, right? Connect to understand, and then connect to help. Say, oh, Alyssa, so what you're telling me, Octavia, is that you have tried this particular marketing approach. I mean, I teach marketing, so this is what I would be saying, but whatever you help people with, right? So you've tried this particular approach and it kind of got you those results and you weren't happy with that experience. I wonder, have you tried doing it this way? I'm just curious. Have you tried doing it this way? And, Octavia will tell me, yes, I have tried it this way, or no, I haven't tried it that way. That's an interesting thought, right? So I'm already helping by suggesting an alternative way that maybe I have seen helpful for myself or for my clients, right? And then I notice is Amina, I'm talking to Amina, and is she like going, oh, that's it. Oh, wow. Like as I'm making a few suggestions here and there, and as I'm reiterating, so am I correct to say that you are feeling this way? Like you're experiencing this particular issue in this way. Is that right? I just want to make sure I understand, right? It's like, yes, I am. Oh, and have you tried it this way? Oh, no, I haven't, but that's a really great idea. I haven't thought of it that way before, right? Have you noticed that when have you thought about how the root cause of this situation might be that? No, I hadn't thought of that way, says Eric, as I'm talking to him as a potential client. So notice if the potential client is going, oh yeah, that's a really good point. Maybe they're taking notes, or whether like, yeah, no, I tried that already. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure that's really the reason for it. Okay, I'm connecting to see if I'm interviewing them. I'm seeing if, are we a good fit? Because if they keep pushing back at me to say, no, that's not really right, then guess what? We shouldn't work together, because in our continued work, they're also going to keep pushing back. But if in the initial conversation, he or she is saying, yeah, that's a really good point. Wow. Whoa. Yeah. Then probably in our continued work, they are also going to have that kind of experience. So instead of selling, we are connecting, we are helping, we are filtering, to filter out the people who keep pushing back and filter in. Oh, yeah, they're the ones who have aha moments with us, just talking with us once, right? Then you invite to say, wow, Fiona, it seems like, wow, it seems like a really good connection here. And I'd love to continue working with you, because I think we can do a lot together to help you resolve this issue, or to help you finally experience that. But do you feel the same way? And I'm not pushing you to do anything. I'm just asking, do you feel the same way? I'm inviting you. If I'm inviting you to my party, I'm not going to say, you must come to my party. Otherwise, you're going to experience this pain and you're going to have this kind of bad life. No, you want to come to my party? Oh, you're interested? Oh, great. We're going to have fun together. What a different feeling it is. What a different feeling. And if I have conversations like that, instead of getting 100 no's to finally find one yes, I've just had 100 enjoyable, connected conversations. And probably instead of getting one yes, I'll probably get 20 yeses. And probably another 20 people are going to say, well, that was talking with George really, he felt like I felt like he really cared about me. So I'm going to refer so-and-so to him. Does that make sense? What a different way of doing it. So that's one of my principles, is reframe from selling to connecting, helping, filtering, and inviting. Okay. Another thing that you don't have to do in part of the authentic client enrollment system is you don't have to go to networking events. Unless you like it, but for most of us, I know for me, I stopped going to networking events. It takes me time to work up to the psychology of going there, like working, okay, yeah, I'm ready to go there now. Getting there is time, it takes me an hour just to get across the city right now, and then it takes time to be there. I get stuck in a corner with somebody for the entire time, because I'm not good at working the room. I don't know if you are, but I'm terrible at it. And then I have to get home and I have to decompress. The whole affair was 4 hours. And I'm usually just talking with one person who's a good connection, but not really a potential client. Or maybe lucky you talk to 3 people. But at the whole time, you're trying to see if you can sell them on something or get them interested in your thing. It's just so unpleasant, in my experience anyway, and most people's experiences. So you don't have to do authentic client enrollment. In 4 hours instead, we could do something different. And I'll talk about that real soon. You don't have to use a sales script. Okay, fine. Except for certain principles, like I'm trying to connect with them to understand if I really understand if I can help them. And if I can really understand how to speak to, reiterate what I'm hearing from them so that we're connected. We feel connected. Am I trying to help them? Are they the right person? And can I invite out of a genuine heart of kindredness, right? That's the only sales script that I want you to have. Take away all the other sales scripts that you're supposed to say this and then you're supposed to say that, because it's not authentic. I mean, you know it, and that person knows it too. I wanted to experience what it was like to be sold by an expert salesperson recently. So literally, this guy has a product, has a high-priced training for how to sell effectively. So I'm like, oh, great. I'm going to go get into his sales process, see what he does to me, right? Great website, emails were really thoughtful and interesting. And so I signed up and we finally got to talk. And essentially, actually, I'm gonna go into what he and I talked about in the next session, because that's the next session. We'll kind of focus on the whole enrollment conversation. But it was really unpleasant because I can kind of tell. I'm savvy enough to I could hear the certain phrases and things that he had to say. He felt he had to say to make it an effective sales conversation. Drop the script. Okay. The other thing is some people described doing free webinars are helpful, or maybe you signed up to somebody doing a free webinar. I'll be honest with you. I built a lot of my business in the first 3 to 4 years doing free webinars. I would sell you on, hey, come to a free webinar and learn how to do this and learn how to do that. But I wouldn't tell you that I was about to sell you on a program. Part of the marketing of the free webinar hides, deceives the person signing up, not letting them know that it actually is a carefully designed sales webinar. Okay. Now, as I've just said this, you might have go, oh my God, now I can never see free webinars the same way again, because they actually, if they do it effectively as a sales tool, it is a carefully scripted free webinar. And if they're a good actor, which I was a good actor, it may seem authentic. I had my host pretend to interrupt me halfway and say, oh, George, before you go on, I want to just make sure people knew about your amazing offer. And I gave my host the entire script and I had them practice it. The whole thing was rehearsed and the whole thing was acted. The next time you go to a free webinar, that might actually be happening. Chances are, if they're effective at it, they're actors. Those of us who are good marketers are great actors. We could be in Hollywood, could win awards for this stuff. Pretend, interruptions by the host, and pretend, for those of it, I just had an idea. For those who sign up before the end of this webinar, I just decided I'm going to give you this. And sometimes, once in a while, it's authentic, but most of the time it's very carefully scripted. So I really, really dislike free webinars. I think it's made the whole webinar world very corrupt, these so-called free webinars. However, there is a way to do it that is authentic. Okay, and I actually did this recently as well. It is doing a preview webinar, or rather, I should say this. In the selling of the free webinar, you make it really clear what program or product or service you are selling. Mind-blowing idea. Wait, George, I'm supposed to be getting them on a free webinar and not distracting them from anything else. Well, if you want to be authentic, if you want them to have a really good experience, which is the only way to get really good word of mouth going forward, okay? Otherwise, you're wasting a lot of hard-earned attention, okay? Let them know upfront what you are selling on that webinar. I dare you to do that. Guess what? I did it, and it works amazingly. So I basically, I'll give you an actual, I'll in the notes, I'll be sure to put an actual link to how I sold the free webinar. But basically, it's simple. There's no script. There's just, hey, come to this free webinar. You're going to learn these things. I'm planning to teach them exactly. And if you want to go deeper, I'll also talk about this program, the link to the actual program that they can buy even before the webinar. It's very honest. And guess what? I spent only about 10% of the entire webinar time talking about the program, because they were so wowed by what I taught them in the free webinar. They're like, and some of them, many of them said, thank you. That was enough. Great. Bless. I've written about this. The core of authentic marketing is to bless and then let go. Bless and then let go. And I keep doing that. Bless and let go. Rather than having to hold on to say, no, you came by free webinar. You should buy. You owe me something. They don't owe you a thing. In fact, you owe them something. Their attention is more valuable than the fact that, somehow you are talking to 50 people or even to 2 people. Their attention is more, they paid you their attention, literally, right? So you owe them nothing. You owe them, actually, they owe you nothing. You owe them a good experience. And only if you gave them a good experience and you were upfront about it, are they going to love, how you market, and more likely going to refer you or buy your thing if it's right, if it's aligned. So, okay, so let me walk through the principles of authentic client enrollment one by one. And as I'm walking through these things, and feel free to, those of you who are, well, everybody, right? If you're live, go and keep chatting as I talk to the principles, what's interesting for you, and if you have any questions. And if you do have a question and you're live here on the chat, please do put question in all capital letters, and then you could type the question normally so that I can be sure to see that. As I walk through the principles, ask yourself, am I implementing this right now in my business? Or how can I implement it? And if you have any questions, of course, post it. And those watching the recording, of course, comment below for any questions. So the first principle actually is to reframe selling to helping, to connecting. I've already talked about this. One metaphor that's helpful is to think of marketing not as hunting or religion, but as friendship. Okay, let me explain this. Most of what you're learning in marketing has the foundational metaphor of hunting or of religion. Okay, you are either trying to wear down a prey as a predator. You're trying to bait them, ethical bait, there's no such thing. You're trying to bait them into signing up for your email list and then wearing them down until they finally go, all right, I'll buy, or just just strong arming them with your savvy copy and your huge promises, like big, hairy, audacious promises to the fine. Okay, that's hunting. That's hunting. Okay, it's set a bait and all that stuff. Or religion, or you're trying to start a cult, right? Okay, and I'll promise you, yes, it is very profitable to start a religion. It's one of the most profitable things you can do. But I don't think it's healthy for your audience to be part of a cult, even if it's a cult of you. Okay, I don't think it's healthy for you in the long term. You don't want cult members. Okay, trust me, you don't, and you don't want them to become cult members either. Okay, conversion, right? I know. I sometimes use this language just because I'm so used to the marketing speak, but indoctrination and conversion is how marketing is also taught. We're supposed to indoctrinate our audience into believing what we believe and then converting them through, certain persuasion tactics. And I'm holier. I know I've seen the light. I'm, whatever it is. And I don't want to be anybody's guru. And I don't think it's healthy for us to try to be anybody's guru. And it's, it can be dangerous actually. So for everybody involved. So instead of hunting or religion, there's a third alternative. There's a third relationship with the audience, which is friendship. Friendship, simple, but so true. When you're trying to make a friend, you don't try to bait them into something. You don't try to convert them into anything. Otherwise, get prepared to lose a friend, right? But instead, you connect. You see if there's a connection, right? You see if there's a kindred spirit feeling, and you see if you enjoy doing something together. You enjoy the conversation. If you enjoy it, you and they both want more conversation. You and they both want more experiences together. That's what friendship is. And if somebody is not quite aligned with you, You don't try to make them be a friend. You just move on to somebody else who's more aligned. Friendship. Okay, so that's the first principle, is changing the entire enrollment conversation into, oh, am I connecting with that person? Are they a friend? Or could they be a friend? If they're a friend, great. It's going to be so natural for me to say, hey, let's do more together. What do you think? Right? Okay. The second principle is to sell or invite only those who care and are ready. Okay. So even if somebody feels aligned with you and is a friend, you don't, say, hey friend, I'm hosting a party this weekend. Can you come? Your friend says, actually, I'm not feeling really up for it, or I'm not really up for, that theme of the party. I'm not, no. Or I don't really like parties, And do you say, well, you're not a friend then. You don't come to my party. You're not a friend. Well, eventually, maybe that is the case. But you keep inviting them if you feel it's appropriate. As you get to know them better, you invite them to the things that you know that they like. And then you just see if they want to show up. And the ones who show up, you do more with, right? So invite only those who are ready. And so, in other words, even with a friendship, you don't force anybody to do anything, okay? You're inviting. The next principle is focus 80% of your marketing time on what is working already, and 20% of your time on testing new ideas. Almost certainly you are not doing something here, and I am sure I can talk to myself as well. What is already working in your marketing? What's already working in your selling? That's why, hopefully, when you got my email to remind you about this event, I asked you certain questions. What are you already doing in your selling or marketing? Or what's working? I want you to focus a lot of your time on what's working. Because if it's working for you, there's something unique about your connection to that activity that is meant for you. What works for you may not work for me, and vice versa. So spend most of your time, 80% of your time, on what is already working. Look at your clients, current and past, and ask yourself, how did they find me? And how can I do more of that? Really, I mean, if you just do that, you're going to be doing better than most business owners. Because most business owners are saying, well, George said I have to do this. So-and-so said I have to do that. So-and-so said I have to do that because they're experts. So I should go and chase all these other things. And I'm forgetting the gold that I've already have in my business, which is all the experiences I've had to get clients that have already worked. Do more. I was just talking with a client yesterday. I'm saying, well, why are we doing all these things when you're just telling me, like, emphatically that this particular strategy has worked for you? Well, why aren't you doing more of that? Well, George, because I thought I had to do this. No, just do more of that. Okay, 80%, all right? But 20% also, very importantly. And by the way, the percentage isn't exact. I'm not saying, well, if you have 10 hours a week to do marketing, you must do 8 hours a week on what's working. But I'm saying spend the majority of your time doing what's working. But do spend a minority of your time testing new ideas, or retrying an idea that you had tried a long time ago and you want to try it again because of a new way of doing it. Okay. So, and really importantly, when you try a new idea, if you don't enjoy it, don't do it more. There is no marketing strategy, not Instagram, whether it's Instagram or public speaking or doing workshops or doing telesummits. There is no marketing strategy that is a must for you or for anybody else. The person telling you that it's a must has an agenda. They have some program to sell you, or it's because it really worked well for them. So that's all they know how to teach. There is no must. You might be doing marketing in a totally weird way that nobody's ever heard of, but it works for you. Do more of what you enjoy, okay? And don't do any marketing activity that you don't enjoy. Don't do it, okay? And essentially, because we want to practice what we want to become great at, okay? Because whatever you keep spending time with, you're practicing. So what do you want to practice? What you want to become great at. Okay, Amina has a great question here. She says, but 60% of my clients come from in-person contact and networking, but I find it draining. How can I switch it? Okay, so that's a really good question. My thought about this is it is working for you, so you need to pay attention to that. but you need to do it differently. And the differently is where we need to brainstorm. Well, do you need to do a different type of networking event? Do you need to start your own networking meetup? Do you need to come to the networking with a different mindset, maybe of connecting rather than feeling like you have to pitch? Do you need to do some online networking instead of offline networking? So there are different ways we can brainstorm to help you go, oh yeah, no, the thing about the networking that works is this element, and that element I'm going to keep, but I'm going to let go of these other elements. So you got to study the method that's working for you, but is draining. You got to study what is the element that works and how can you transform. And of course, work with your coach to brainstorm that, or we can talk in the notes in the comments of the video to figure that out. Okay. All right. And one more principle, two more, and I'll go into some more strategies here. Focus on the process instead of the goal. Now, I have to qualify this. Have you found it helpful to focus on a particular enrollment goal? Some people do find it helpful. And if so, don't let that go, right? If it's working, do more of it. But some people go, God, I had 10 clients I want to enroll this month or last month, and I didn't meet the goal and I'm stressed out, etc. If that's the case, I invite you to focus on the process. Actually, regardless of whether goals work for you, I do encourage you to focus on the goal of sticking with a process that works and the goal of trying a new process that works. Focus on the process. So for example, instead of saying, well, I got to get 10 new clients this month or whatever, 5 new clients or whatever it is, think about, what am I going to do that is likely to lead to having 5 new inquiries or 10 new inquiries or 20 new inquiries? What is it that I'm going to do that is going to make that more likely? I'm going to focus on what it is I'm going to do rather than focus on, did the universe deliver 5 signed clients? Does that make sense? Oh, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be reaching out to these particular people with this particular mindset of connecting and helping, or I'm going to be commenting on these Facebook groups, or whatever it is that you decide to do. Focus on the process and making sure you're doing the process. A lot of times people go, George, I didn't meet my goal of 5 clients this last month. And I go, okay, now did you do what we talked about? No, I was distracted. I was doing this. They weren't focused on the process. They were focused on the goal and being stressed out about it. Huge. This is huge, and makes such a difference in my business. I don't focus on, am I going to get more fans on my Facebook page this month? No, I focus on, did I post to my Facebook page this month, as an example, right? Okay, the final principle, which I think is really important, is to understand why people aren't buying. You've got to understand that in your own business. And there are 2 reasons why people aren't buying from you. Really, there are basically 2 reasons, okay? One is you're not getting enough visibility about your offering. People don't remember what you do. You told me what you did last month. I've forgotten what you do. Honestly, I have. Even last week, if you told me what you did, I probably forgot about. I mean, of course, I kind of remember what you do, but even if a friend of mine needs your help, I probably don't remember you by this point. Okay, maybe 1 week is I might remember you, but certainly a month or 2, I don't remember you anymore. Every person in the world is thinking about their own issues. Even if it's your good friend, even if it's somebody you interact with on Facebook, every week or whatever, they don't remember what you do, or they're not thinking of it when their friend needs your help. They don't. So number 1, your offering is not visible enough to people to remind them, oh yeah, right. Oh yeah, that's what Gord does. Oh yeah, that's what Heather does. That's right. Okay. And then that's good for like a week or 2. Okay. They're going to remember that for a week or 2 when their friends you have essentially, right? Okay. You probably have at least 100 Facebook friends. You probably are on a first name basis with 150 people, something like that, in your life. And those 150 people are also on a first name basis with 150 other people, right, in their life. And what is that? 150 times 150. You have 22,500 potential people just by the second degree. Your 150 people plus their 150 people. That's 22,500 people who could either use your services or products now, or would likely want to, some of them want to use it at some point, or some of them know somebody who is going to use your services. But out of those 22,500 people, how many people are thinking about you? 2, 3? Really? Seriously? And those 2 or 3 include you as well, right? So nobody is thinking about your service unless they just saw it in the past week. So visibility is one of your biggest challenges, and that's something you can solve today. When was the last time you posted on your Facebook profile? And yes, you are allowed to. People go, George, I thought I'm not supposed to market on my Facebook personal profile. Have you read the terms of service? If so, please copy and paste for me right here in the comment or the chat. Where does it say in the terms of service, I am not allowed to tell my friends and family about my business? Tell me where. Seriously. I actually just looked recently and I couldn't find it. So I don't understand. I think Facebook used to have that rule. They changed it. Now it says you're now not allowed to post deceitful advertising and like annoying spam stuff, basically. And if you're just every now and then posting about your business, oh, hey, friends, I just want to, just want to remind you that this is kind of what I do. If you have somebody who needs help, blah, 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 perfectly acceptable. Perfectly acceptable. Whether it's Facebook, Instagram, email very courteously. You don't want to mass email your friends if they haven't joined your email newsletter. That's not cool. But once every couple of months, you can reach out to a friend personally and mention that or something like that. So when was the last time you at least posted on social media, whichever one you use, that this is what you do? Actually, I'd love to know. Put in the chat or put in the. Has it been a month? Oh, Jason says a few. Well, Jason, of course. Jason and Pamela are both business coaches, so not surprised. Radhika yesterday. That's great. So excellent. Keep do that, right? Do that. That's why Jason's network remembers and Pamela network remembers her about whatever it is, right? And a lot of you are silent because maybe it's been a little while, right? And Kat says, I think in my 6 years in business, I posted 6 times. Yeah, and you're overly polite, I guess, to your network. I'm not saying posting about a business is not polite, but that's what we think. We think somehow it's impolite when we remind our network of what we do. But our network wants to help us, right? When you see a friend, say, hey, just friends, if you know of anybody, I'd love your help. Or, hey, I just want to let you know, I love doing this for people. And I would so love to take care of the person you send me or whatever it is. Well, you go, oh, great. Well, I'll think of Kat next time when So yeah, your network loves to help you, right? Okay. So why people aren't buying, visibility is one of probably the top reason, actually. But secondly, why people aren't buying is that your offering isn't aligned with what the audience that's seeing it wants to buy. And I taught a whole 3 workshop series on alignment of your offering. I called it resonant marketing. So I don't want to teach a 5-hour workshop in the next 30 seconds. So I won't try to. And I'll just say, if you haven't yet taken my resonant marketing workshop, if you feel like, I have been visible. So that's my first question for you. Has your offering been visible? Okay. And Kat says, how often should we be posting? Every 5 to 10 social media posts, are you posting your offering or just one of your offerings out there? That's personally for me. I just looked before this very session. I looked at my last 45 posts on social media on my business page. Even it's on my business page, right? I looked at my last 45 posts and it turned out I had posted 4.5 times about my offerings. I say half because one of them was a very soft, like, I posted a chapter of my book, and then at the bottom it says, hey, if you want to read the full book, click here to buy it. I called it half of an offering. But the other 4 were like, hey, come to my workshop, last chance, buy my workshop, things like that. So I do post 1 out of every 10 posts is some offering of some kind. If you need more clients right now, I want to encourage you to make it more like 1 out of every 5. Okay? 1 out of every 5 social media postings. Let it be talking about your offering in a different way. Don't always say the same thing, because then your network gets tired of it and it looks like spam because it looks thoughtless. But talk about it in a way that makes sense to you today. Oh, I just had this wonderful experience with a client. I love helping people do this kind of thing. So happy about it. If you have somebody in your life who's needing this kind of help, I'd love to help them out. That's what I do in my business, et cetera, et cetera. I'd love to take care of them, get care of them. That's one way of doing it. Another way would be like, hey, I've got an upcoming, event I'd love to let you all know about. If you know anybody, please invite them, blah, blah, blah. There's different offerings you have in your business. Just switch them out. Just keep swapping them out. And for each one, try talking about it a little differently every time, okay? So 1 out of every 5 or 10. Okay. Octavia says, is an offer a description of what I do? Yeah, that's one way of doing it. So when I say an offering, I mean some post or email. It could be a post on social media or an email to your newsletter, for example. An invitation of some kind for them to either check out your services or to refer somebody to you. That's it. That's it. So however you do that, I want you to be creative. I am purposely not giving you a script. Okay? I'm sorry to disappoint you. For those of you who came here saying, George is going to give me the exact words I need to say to have a magic abracadabra, clients came. There are many classes you can take on that, promise me. And I will refund you if that's what you were expecting. Please. The reason I'm not giving you a script is because that is a really bad crutch. Any marketing teacher that gives you a script, I don't think is doing you a favor, honestly, because they are saying, lean on this inauthentic language that I've given you that's authentic to me, but probably not to the fact that you're going to copy and paste this, it's not authentic to you. So what I want you to do instead is to write an email, okay? No, really. Write an email. Okay, think of one of your clients or one of your potential clients. If you don't have any clients yet, think of a friend. Think of one of your clients. Do you have that client in mind? Just think of a client who loves their work with you. Current, past client, doesn't matter. Think of that person now. Or think of, if you don't have any clients, think of a friend who is supportive of your business. Okay? Got that person in mind? Imagine that person says, hey, Octavia, I'd love to tell my friend Joe, my friend Sarah, about what you do. Can I forward an email to them? I'd love to make an introduction. Joe, meet Octavia. Sarah, meet Radhika. You see what I mean? Imagine your supportive friend or your ideal client is forwarding an email from you to their friend. So their friend doesn't know you, but their friend trusts the middle person, which is your ideal client or your supportive friend. Go ahead, actually, write the email. Write the email to that friend. So I would say, if Octavia was introducing me to a friend, I'd say, Octavia, thank you so much. Thanks so much for introducing me to Alyssa. Hi, Alyssa. So glad to meet you. Obviously, you wouldn't put that in the social media post, but you're using this letter as a way to get into the right energy of describing what you do. So, Alyssa, what I basically do for people is I love helping, blah, 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 blah. So then it becomes friendly. Then it's no longer like, oh, I'm trying to sell Alyssa. Because if I'm trying to sell Alyssa, Octavia is going to hear about it. Alyssa's going to tell Octavia, listen, George, the person you introduced me to, he was really salesy in the conversation we had or on the email even. I want Alyssa to go back to Octavia and say, oh, I had a lovely conversation with George. The first email he sent me was very helpful. It explained, because I am interested and so you're writing to the friend of a friend or a friend of a client who is already probably interested, but they just don't know what you do. It could be your service. It could be your upcoming event. It could be a product you sell. Does that make sense? It makes sense. Okay. All right. So when you are in that energy of connection to somebody who is already supportive and probably likes your thing, you become authentic. And the script that you come out with is authentic to you. Okay. So, all right. Understanding why people aren't buying, visibility is a top reason. And if it's not visibility and people still aren't buying, then it has to be alignment. Your thing is not interesting for people. If you post a lot about your thing and your audience isn't buying or referring, it's honestly not, you're too much in your own head. You created this brilliant methodology. I've done the same thing. Trust me. I've done this so many times. I create this brilliant methodology. I named this, I think it's a brilliant name. And then I keep trying to sell it and nobody buys it. How many times have I done that in the last, 10 years of marketing? More than I'm happy to talk about. So it happens to all of us. It happens to the smartest marketers. We get into our own heads. We think this thing is brilliant, but our audience doesn't get it. That's why I talk about the importance of doing fan interviews. So you're always being in touch. I do 4 fan interviews every month. So basically 1 a week. Still to this day, I do this. Even though my client practice is full, my business is doing really well, I don't want to let go of being in real contact frequently with my market, hearing their language, seeing how they're describing what their problem is right now. Okay. The more you can keep on being in touch with your market and actually hearing their language of how they describe the problem that your business helps people solve, it might not be the same way you describe it. It probably isn't, because you as an expert describe it in a different way than a beginner would. You see what I mean? So, okay. So those are the principles. I'm going to put a link now in the chat for those of you who are live to the resource document, and now you can actually see these principles written out. And those of you watching the video, the email you got giving you links to the video has the resource document. Be sure to click on it, be sure to look at it, and be sure to ask yourself the questions as you look through each principle. Am I doing this? And if not, how can I implement this now to my business? Okay, so we have about half hour left, and now I want to go through the system with you, okay, the overview of the system. And thankfully, we have 2 more sessions to flesh out any details that will be helpful, okay? So the system, as I talk through this, I've already talked through a lot of this, but now I want to do it in a very structured way, okay? There are 5 parts of the system, okay? The first part, and each part is very, I think it's thought, maybe it's in my own head, but I think it's very thoughtfully created. And I really, and it's what I do in my business, and it's what I really encourage my own clients to do. So I want you to ask yourself, as I talk through these 5 parts of the system, am I doing this right now? And if not, maybe you should start. Okay, so part 1 of the system for authentic client enrollment is consistent visibility. Now, I've already spent 20 minutes talking about that, so I won't belabor the point. We've talked about serving, educating, connecting, understanding instead of trying to sell. Okay, consistency is seen by your audience. Your consistency is seen by your audience as reliability. And it's actually probably true, right? If you're consistent with your content, you come across as reliable to your audience. And it's actually, to be honest with you, it's not that hard to be consistent. If you find the way of doing content that is aligned with your natural style, you don't have to do dog walk videos like I do. You don't have to write long blog posts like I do. You don't have to do a podcast like somebody else does. You don't have to be on Instagram every day like another friend swears by. And maybe one of these is what you love doing. Do you, but do you consistently, and do you imperfectly. Do the imperfect actions consistently, and that leads to consistent visibility. Okay? So I'm going to ask you right now, what way of doing content, of sharing your message, sharing your experience, sharing helpful tips, what way of doing that feels natural to you? Go ahead, and maybe you already know what that is. Go ahead and put that in the chat, and I'm going to just give you, a few seconds to think about that now. All right. So couple of them are coming through. One of them is speaking. Great. I don't even have speaking in my list here, actually, because I am, I actually love, and by speaking, I'm assuming you mean in-person events, right? I actually love doing that myself. If we ever get a chance, I'd love to be in an in-person speaking situation with you. I really am good with the room. I'm really good at that. But I haven't done it at all this year. And last year I only did like maybe 2 in-person speaking events because I was invited to a room that was already full and I was a keynote speaker. And in those situations, I'm happy to be there. But I personally I don't have enough energy to try to fill the room. It just doesn't work. Like, oh, the thinking of the cost of the venue and have to try to fill that to make it break even at least. And it's just too stressful for me. So I don't do speaking unless I'm invited, which is, I have to just, pray and hope someone invites me. But so I don't rely on speaking personally because of that reason. But if you don't mind and have found it effective to just have enough people show up to speaking, please do that. And actually one of my clients I recently talked to, we discovered that was her one thing that's really effective for her. And then I go, great. Then how come we haven't been talking about getting you more speaking gigs? And so we started talking about that. And I was like, now we're going to set a goal on what you're going to be, what is the process, we're going to be doing to get more speaking gigs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, are you doing that consistently? That's really the question. And of course, you're going to ask me, George, well, what is the process for getting more speaking gigs? I have to say, well, if you came to this workshop thinking I'm going to understand how to get more speaking gigs, that's maybe a future workshop I'm going to be doing because I'm not really good at that because I haven't been trying at all. When I talk with clients, they already have some ideas and we continue to brainstorm more. I think I'm better in that situation, but I'm not going to teach right now. So I'm just going to let that go for now. But if you all have any ideas on how to get more speaking gigs, please post it in the comments. Okay. I'm sure others can benefit from it. Let's see here. Radhika says, hey, I post pictures of nature and write inspirational quotes to go with it. And then I expand on that. Yes. People, yeah, exactly. So if that is something you love doing and it's natural for you, are you doing it consistently? And what is a rhythm? So that's my second question for you. Now that you've written what is natural for you in terms of content, the second question is, what rhythm can you sustain and be reliable in? I'm going to give you a moment to think about that and chat that in. What rhythm can you sustain based on what you just wrote about what's natural for you? What rhythm can you sustain so that you can become reliable in doing that? Great. So Sandy wrote, videos are becoming natural for her. Wonderful. And she says once a week is sustainable for her. Great. Then I expect to see you once a week, Sandy, on your videos once a week, right? Alyssa says Facebook Lives twice a week. Great. If that feels natural or is it becoming natural, you want. The other question is, if it's not natural yet, but you feel inspired to become excellent at something, that's okay too. And that's perfectly a good thing to become, to work at. Then the question is, what is a rhythm that you can sustain right now? Because you can always build in more later, right? You can always build in more later, more frequency later, and more methods later. Okay. All right. So, Jason wrote about the speaking gigs that he links with Jason Stein. Thank you. jasonstein.com. I link with networking organizations that have several chapters and they bring me in to speak. I've also offered schools free webinars, which have worked well. Great. Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay. All right. And Suzanne says one blog a week. Great. Sustain that. Okay. Now we may need to talk about how do you expand the visibility of those blogs or et cetera, but sustain that. That's really the first thing. Now, let me just, before I go on, consistent visibility. Let me talk you through. If you're wondering, well, what should I be doing? Okay, if I'm not clear on that question of what I ought to be doing with my content, give me some ideas. Let me give you some. One is, I think it's pretty much a must for everybody, I'm going to have to say, is having a regular email newsletter. You don't have to complicate it. If you look at my email newsletter, it's very simple. You know what my email newsletter, it takes me 10 minutes to put it together. 10 minutes every week to put it together. How? I copy and paste what I recently did with my content. So I've already done it. Now the email newsletter is simply a service for you to make sure you didn't miss my most recent things. That's it. That's it. And people, my open rate is about 30 to 40%, which is, just to give you a comparison, the industry average email open rate is 20 to 25%. Mine is 30 to 40%. So it's working. So it's okay to keep your email newsletter as simple as mine. I literally say, this is my email newsletter. Here are my most recent posts. And then I put the bullet points to a little bit about the post, basically the first few lines, and then read more as a link to go to the post. That's it. That's my email newsletter. And then at the very bottom, I says, I ask some sign off. I wish you, authentic joy in building your business, whatever it is, George. That's my email. Take 10 minutes. It probably shouldn't take me 10 minutes, but so email newsletter, please do this consistently because, if somebody's going to sign up for your email newsletter, they do want to get something from you on a regular basis. And it's a very reliable way to keep in touch with your audience. Okay. All right. The second thing that I want to recommend, if you aren't doing it, probably most of you are doing this, is Facebook is the biggest platform for every demographic except for teens now. Actually, recent report came out, finally. Teenagers 13 to 17 are now on Instagram, Snapchat, and YouTube more than they are on Facebook. So that's a new thing. But most of you aren't trying to reach teens, right? So if you're reaching anybody older than 18, Facebook is the biggest place that you can reach. The most people, the most diversity of people, the most of any interest, 18 and plus, Facebook. It's the simplest single place to post, whether you are posting writing, images, videos, even links to your podcast, Facebook. And not just Facebook advertising, Facebook ads. If you tell me, George, I post things and only 5 to 10% of my fans are seeing it, that's normal. You need to be spending $30 a month on Facebook ads. Not need, but I recommend it. If you spend $30 a month on Facebook ads, you will reach the majority of your fans every single month, probably several times a month for $30. You can afford $30 probably. If you're here, you can probably afford $30 a month. I really recommend it. It's the cheapest way to be visible to your fans anywhere online right now. It is. That's my recommendation. So Facebook ads, not just Facebook ads. Okay. I teach a course on that. I am biased about it, but it really does work. That's why I teach a course on it. Okay. Images. If you love images like Radhika's talking about, Instagram, that's the place to be. For every age group, Instagram right now is the place to be for images. Okay, so please recommend you do that. Remember to use as many hashtags as you can for every post you make. Make at least 3 hashtags for every post on Instagram, up to 15. Okay, it's totally acceptable on Instagram, 3 to 15 hashtags. Karen, great question, says, hey, any ideas on building your email list so your newsletter is getting good visibility? Great question. My recommendation is to not use a lead magnet, to not use a freebie to say, get this amazing free report, amazing free video. And by the way, you also get my email newsletters. Just be upfront. Post your content. As you post your content, you can have a line at the very bottom that says, to get my best content via email, click here. And then they'll go to your email newsletter sign up, and then they can decide to sign up or not. Bless and let go. This has been my singular email list building strategy for the last, what's it been, 3 years. And it's been great. I have one of the highest I have probably the highest open rates for any email newsletter among my peers. And I have email subscribers who sign up for my offerings as well. So simplest thing you can do. Amina says, my open rate is high on my email newsletters, but People haven't been buying, and I've been writing consistently. Okay, yes, your issue, Amina, is that your offering is not resonating with them. It's not, so it's no longer about your visibility. It's about your resonance. And that brings me to the second, oh, actually, let me complete that, but I'm going to go to that next. So thank you for mentioning that. If you're doing videos, please put them on Facebook and use ads to boost it to your lookalike likely audiences. I'm not going to go into that. That is an entire series that I teach on that, but it really, really does work. So please do that. And also upload your videos to YouTube if you're going to do it. You don't have to do all of these things. Pick one. Besides the email newsletter, which I recommend everybody do, and Facebook ads, I want to recommend everyone do, but I know I'm biased on it. Just pick one. Is it going to be images? Is it going to be videos? Is it going to be writing? Blog posts? Okay. If you're going to do writing, you need to focus on SEO. And I've given you a link in the resource document that gives you my basic SEO training, advice. And let me share with you right now where to find that. So in my resource document, right, consistent visibility is part one of the system. I'm telling you about these different, okay, I'm going to just make that a little bit easier to read. Okay. So if you're going to do written content, that's the thing you're going to focus on. You need to focus on Google SEO. And if you click on this link, it'll bring you to my guidance. I have studied SEO a lot. And let's see here. I've studied SEO a lot and in my years of doing it. And this is basically, I've summarized for you what I think is the most important things in SEO. So you can save yourself a lot of time by just reading this article. Okay. All right. Okay, let me go back to okay. And then finally, audio. Audio, if you don't want to be seen, you don't want to write, you don't want to take pictures, or you just want to talk, then podcasting is really the way to do it. And you got to put your podcast on iTunes and Google Play. And then I recommend that you also put your podcast on YouTube using a service called Tunes to Tube. It can easily take your audio and put it on YouTube with just a static image. I actually listen to some podcasts via YouTube. I'm a user of YouTube, and I listen to podcasts via YouTube. So I know it works because it gets to me, right? Tunes to Tube, and also Facebook ads. Facebook ads to get visibility for your podcast, okay? For your podcast episodes. All right. So if you look in the resource document, you will see that I've given you recommended actions, which are actually habits to create. So for each of these parts of the system, I really want you to take a careful look at the habits to create section and ask yourself, can I start these habits as soon as possible? So am I creating a consistent schedule of publishing using one of these methods above that feels authentic and it's relevant to my ideal client as I think about them? What do they need from me? What do they need to learn? Am I consistently spending money on Facebook ads or other paid advertising to distribute your content? Because listen, if you're just posting things and you're not spending money on ads to distribute your content, it's going to take you years. Do you want to take another couple years to build an audience that can finally understand what you do? No. $30 a month will take you farther than the vast majority of small business owners because most people aren't doing it. $30 a month on Facebook. Just budget it in. Just budget that in for your content. I just give you some perspective. I spend $200 to $300 a month just distributing my content on Facebook. Not even my offerings. That's another sometimes $100 to $200 a month just about advertising my workshops. Just my latest blog post or my best blog post, $200 to $300 a month on Facebook. Now, you don't have to be there. Just start with $30 a month. And then once you start making more money, spend more money so you can make more if you like. Okay, email newsletter, I've already talked about that. I think it's important to stay top of mind and being a very reliable way to connect with your warm audience. Resonant marketing, I've already talked about this a bit, but I'll just remind you, it's about filtering and aligning rather than persuading and selling. If your thing is aligned with the person you're talking to or the audience that you're talking to, you don't have to sell. You just have to whisper. It's a great fit. They will see it as a great fit. So how do you do this? How do you become resonant in your offering? Well, this is why I taught my entire last training series was about how to do that. Basically, it's about, well, let me tell you what the habits are. Okay, the habits are doing fan interviews, which I do 4 per month. The second habit is doing market research, keyword research, and if you need more clients right now, I really recommend that you be doing this regularly. I'm going to say, if you need clients, do this once a month or more. Okay. Right now, I don't need any clients, so I only do this like once a quarter or so. But if you need clients, you should do this market keyword research more often. And then finally, improving the web pages of your offerings, given your interviews and research. Do this at least once a quarter, especially if you need clients. Okay. In other words, keep on making your web pages more resonant based on your conversations and based on your market research. Okay. So these are the habits that are part of resonant marketing. I teach this to my own clients. I do this myself. Especially this one, but these I also do just a little bit less frequently. Okay, so the third part of the system, right? Third part of the system is, I'm just going to stop the share for a moment here, so you can look me in the eye. Remember, if your network isn't seeing your offering frequently enough, they don't know that your offering exists. They just don't know about it. They just don't remember it. So remember this moment, okay? I want to see, if I'm part of your Facebook audience or whatever, I want to see your offering frequently enough so that I remember. And so does your supportive friends, and so do your clients, so they can refer people to you. So that's what this third part of the system is, to be consistent in doing that. I've already talked about how often. The habit is basically 1 out of every 5 to 10. Okay, 1 out of every 5 to 10. And part of the habit of doing this is to keep testing. Okay, last time I talked about my one-to-one offering, I highlighted this way that I help clients. This time, as I talk about it, I'm going to highlight this other way that I help clients. Does that make sense? Okay, so every time you talk about the same offering again, highlight a different benefit, highlight a different issue. You want to see what seems to work the best. Okay, so, and then try to track, and we'll talk about tracking in one of the upcoming sessions of this series. So track what seems to be working. Okay, part 4 of the system, personal KIT. I should explain what KIT means, keeping in touch. Okay, many of you said that the way that you're getting clients is by one-to-one contact or personal connection with somebody. I will tell you that this, not just tell you, I've seen this in my own life and in my clients' lives. There is very little one-to-one keeping in touch happening these days. Most people are only doing the blog posts, the Facebook posts, the Facebook ads, the YouTube or whatever, Instagram. Very few people are reaching out one-to-one and saying, Judith, it's been a while. How is it going? Karen, last time we chatted, we talked about this. How is that going? And I wanted to make sure you knew about this, or here's what I'm up to. Very few people these days. And I have a huge network. I think probably bigger than most people, just because of the nature of the work that I do. And I can count on one hand how many people have kept in touch with me this year. We're 6 months into the year. Fewer than 6 people have kept in touch with me this year. And just via email. I'm not talking about texting me or phone calls. Nobody picks up the phone these days. But just via email in a thoughtful way. I'm not talking about getting someone's email newsletter. That's not personal KIT. That's just getting someone's email newsletter. I'm not talking about, and please don't message someone just to say, how's it going? That one-liner is not thoughtful. So I should clarify, right? Thoughtful personal KIT. Somebody who says to me, George, I've been really enjoying seeing your posts about this and this. I really found it helpful because of that reason. And how did it go? I mean, if we were talking about something before, how did it go with that? And then I wanted to, and also here's what I'm up to. I'm doing this and this. How many people have done that to you this year? Chat that in. I actually would love to know what the current state of the market is. Cassandra says 1. Diane says 0. Most of you are saying 0. I have probably 1,000 people in my network who could do that with me, that I would know, and oh yeah, so great to hear from you, Ron or Bob or Jane or Jennifer, or fewer than 6 in 6 months. Radhika says 5 to 6. That's you have an amazing network, right? Rare, extremely rare. Okay. So if you were to do personal, thoughtful KIT with your network, you're going to be the one person that they hear from in a thoughtful way this year. It's shocking, but it's true. So I just told you the secret. I mean, honestly, that's it. You don't have to take the rest of the workshop. That's my secret for authentic client enrollment, is personal KIT. I know it sounds so simple, but you just had to be reminded of it. That's it. That's it. Like if you were to, you don't even before you do the consistent content and the Facebook ads, blah, 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 you already know 150 people who aren't hearing from you. That's it. So even before you grow your audience, you need to reach out to the people who already love you. Out of the 150 people, maybe 15 people are supportive of your business. They're friends, family, colleagues, past clients. Those 15 people, are they hearing from you thoughtfully? Okay, so I'll talk about that more in the next session as well, including not so much a script, but as sort of like things you might want to think about including in your contact with them. But I just wanted to kind of share that part of the system with you in this call. Okay, so I have a cool thing I want to share with you before we end the session, which is if you one of the quickest ways to kind of personally reach out and possibly grow your business pretty soon, actually, is to trade with other service providers. So there are probably somebody in this training right now whom you would love to trade with, and who probably have an audience that they would love to introduce you to if your service is a good fit for their audience. And how would they know unless they tried it? So are any of you willing to trade with one another? I'm not saying you got to trade with all 50 people, but trade with 3. If you're willing, I want to encourage you to click here where it says connect with other students in this course for possible trades. So you might have to click once here and then click on the long link down here. And that'll bring you to this tool. And let me talk you through this, okay? What you'll be doing in this tool is to put your name and information in any row that is empty. Obviously, don't write anywhere that already has words, but just pick a row that's empty and put your information there if you're willing to trade, or if you want to have some mutual support and accountability with other students regarding filling your practice, getting enough clients. Because really, if you partner with the people in this course, just even with the people in this course, you could probably go quite far in filling all of your client roster right now. Because each of us has 150 connections who have 150 connections, 22,000 people, right? For every single student in this course. So thank you, Sandy. Awesome. Look at this. This is in real time right now happening. So yes, put your information in. Take your time, but do it sooner rather than later, so that you can, so that you don't, you can be seen more quickly by others. Okay, and if you're watching this, put it on your to-do list to visit this spreadsheet in 3 months and see whom you might want to trade with. Okay, all right. Okay, so go ahead and have fun with that tool. And Okay. And then the final thing that's part of the system, part 5, is, I think, important. And a lot of people don't remember this. To be an excellent business means to have excellent customers and clients. Me being an excellent business coach is a function of me having amazing clients. Maybe you've noticed the same thing too. You do the same thing for 2 different people, right? And one person just, oh, gets so much from what you do. And then the other person's like, nah, not so much, or maybe even pushback. It's not you, it's them. Okay? Really, in this case, it's true. It's not you, it's them. And it's not nothing wrong with them. It's just the alignment. It's not them as a bad person. It's the alignment wasn't right. So I want you to pay attention. And that's one of the habits in part 5 of the system, right? One of the habits is every now and then, take a look at the list of your clients and score your clients privately. Don't let them know. But score your clients in terms of how awesome was their experience with me. You're the same person. Trust me. In fact, your ideal clients make it feel like you're not doing any work at all. It's so easy, right? Like, it's so easy. Like, you can make all these mistakes to your ideal clients and they still love you. I mean, that's not entirely, you can't make every mistake in the world, but you can be much more yourself, have you noticed, with your ideal clients, and they just love you anyway. And I know I've made mistakes. And my ideal, like, just the other day, I got off a session like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I said that. I don't think it made her feel the best or whatever. And then she writes me an email later. So that was a great session. I'm like, really? I thought it didn't go very well at the end there. Your ideal clients make you feel like a superstar. The ones who don't make you feel like a superstar are not a good fit. They are a better fit for some. They might make somebody else in this class feel like a superstar. It's not them. It's just the alignment. So that's what I want you to keep noticing. Do this as a habit. Once every 6 months, look at your client list and score. Just the act of scoring your clients, recent clients, will automatically prime your brain to find more people like them. And you could call this law of attraction. I think the law of attraction works truly the best when it comes to relationships. Have you noticed? Like people, there's some vibrational weird thing. When you get clear on the type of person that you're trying to attract, whether it's a romance or whether it's a client, it just happens more easily. It just does. So I want you to put that into your to-do list once every 6 months. Score your clients, not because they're bad. No, not just for the law of attraction purposes. This is a private scoring. Only you will see it. Okay. And then the other part of the habit is to look at the touch points in your client's experience. What do I mean by touch points? I actually do need to talk about this because I only mentioned touch points in the document. A touch point is any time your client touches your business. So of course, client sessions is a touch point, but also the reminder email they got from you is a touch point. The follow-up email they may or may not have gotten from you is a touch point. The web page they land on to sign up for a session is a touch point. The emails you send to all of your clients, or maybe you're not doing this on a regular basis, to say, hey, clients, I just want to give you the top 3 resources I've seen in the past 3 months, is a touch point. The purchasing page, the way they sign up for your service, the bookkeeping, whatever they do, the way that they experience your business at every single stage are touch points. And so I want you to look, just even every 3 months, if you do this, look at one touch point in your business and say, how can I make this one touch point more delightful or more effective? How can I make it easier for my client? And how can I make them enjoy it more? Just even asking that question will get you some ideas. And you'll keep improving your client experiences over time, which means you're going to get more referrals over time. Okay? In the document, I've given you additional visibility methods that people have found helpful. And if you're interested, if you ask me about it, we can talk about these things in the next session. I'm out of time for this one, but I just wanted to make sure that that's there. But really, if you just do the 5 parts of this system, and you do it especially as a habit, right? That's why these are habits to create. you will fill your practice. You will have word of mouth referrals happen a lot more naturally. One thing I forgot to say is the easiest way to refer you is not as a client. The easiest way to refer you is to share your content. Really, if I see a post on Facebook, I'm going to share it with somebody I know who's like, oh, Sandy's thing is perfect for you. The easiest way to refer you is to share your content. So that's why the content visibility is so, so important for all of us, I think. So with that, I want to thank you for being part of this training series. I hope you'll fill in your name and so that we can create a community just for this course, that you can really connect and find help long after this course has ended. And please ask me any questions you have that you'd love for me to cover. Well, those of you who are live here and getting the benefit of being part of this as it's being recorded, let me know what you want me to cover in sessions 2 and 3. Of course, I have great ideas about it, but let me vote. Let me know. Email me. Okay, let me know. And those of you who are watching this many months later, comment below what would you love for me to cover. I will do it as a reply to you, or I will write a blog post about it, or I will do it in a future course. Thank you so much, and I can't wait to be with you next time in the next session. Blessings. Be well.